Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Disruptive Franchise Podcast. I'm joined this week by Lewis Crompton. Hi, Lewis.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me. Good to be here.
Oh, thanks for being on. So, Lewis, you were one of our sponsors for the 2025 Disruptive Franchise Awards. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, first of all.
Sure. So my name's Lewis. I'm 36. Which means I'd fall into the not old category yet, as we were talking beforehand, and also not the straight category, which is brilliant. So a little bit of diversity there. I make people rich, really. That's what I do. So I teach people how to trade financial markets really safely, super low risk, but high reward in a way that is tax-free in the UK. And only takes them 30 minutes per day. So absolutely love what I do, built a community around it. I just love getting to help people in all sorts of different ways through that community.
I love that. So part of bringing you into the Disruptive Franchise Awards this year was to give you a new audience. And one of my favourite things about the whole day actually was when you stood on stage and said, who here has seen me before, and nobody put their hand up. And the reason I love that is because that was absolutely what I wanted the event to be about for the speakers and the sponsors, to come and experience a new set of people and for them to experience you. What's the value in that for you as a business owner?
I think the game of business really is, if you want to grow a business, that is, to have as many eyes on you as possible. And so, particularly in my field, which is investing, people have got such preconceived ideas of what it is and what it looks like and the type of person that might be doing that type of thing as well. And so the more people I can meet, talk to, be in front of, who have never seen me before, who can then have the opportunity to see what this style of trading actually is versus what they maybe perceived it was, is just a really great thing for me. I mean, yes, okay, my bigger mission is to help as many families as possible live with less stress and have more fun through financial empowerment, which is what trading has done for so many people now. But it's also to challenge people's preconceived ideas that put a barrier between them and the thing that I do, which is make them financially peaceful. Because we all have these internal barriers, we all have got these stories, we all have these inherited beliefs or just societal understandings, which may be right, may be wrong. But if they are wrong, then they're stopping us maybe accessing something which is phenomenal. So being able to be in front of a group of people who have never seen me before was really exciting, because I got to see their faces light up with the realization of what was actually possible and what they could actually do. Not that I went into hardcore detail about what I do on the stage or anything, but it's always nice to share a little bit about who you are and your journey with a new group of people.
What I really loved actually was, so while you were on stage, I had the pleasure of being sat along stage, like looking out at the room, and it was like all these light bulbs went off. Like, honestly, there was like this moment in the room, and it was just magic. I loved it, where everyone was like, oh, this is actually quite accessible to me. And you could just see it on their faces. And like you say, it's that barrier was like literally like I just watched it tumble down, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, it's my favourite thing. I grew up in the church, which I think I mentioned when I was on stage at the awards, and I used to speak in church from the age of 14 in youth group and sometimes in front of the whole church. And people, because I've never done any specific speaker training, I've just been doing it for years, and my favourite thing is connecting with people. And yes, it's a different skill connecting with people when you're on stage versus just one-on-one or in a small group, but it's just another skill set, and I love that skill set. I feel alive and at home when I'm on stage, as long as I'm connecting with the audience, and the audience there was so wonderful and so lovely and so receptive. They just felt very, very easy to connect with them. A really, really brilliant, lovely group of people. And so from that time in church, what I've been doing from the age of 14 is trying to craft messages and think about how to deliver that message in a way that changes the way someone's brain operates or thinks, or challenges in a way that allows them to accept the challenge. Because if you just stand on stage and say, you're all wrong, you bunch of morons, you've not got it, you've messed it all up, you've ruined your whole life, that's not really going to go very far. Unless you're Andrew Tate and talking to a bunch of thingamabobbies, I won't use the word for them, but yeah.
We wouldn't have that at the Disruptive Franchise Awards. That is not really what we're about. Absolutely not. And yeah, so we were very fortunate, because you told your story about kind of how you went from life in the church to kind of who you are as a person, and then how you got into kind of what you do and the passion. And I think, I think people think about, like, from an awards presenter point of view, particularly, like, you're just going to stand on stage, announce the winners and leave. And what we got as an audience was so much more than that from you, because you're on stage for, you know, a good amount of time. You had that connection with the audience, and so when it came to, like, announce the winners, it was like, oh, and by the way, there's the winners, rather than like, I'm just here for the winners. And I really loved that flow about it, actually. I think that, like, from my point of view, worked really nicely.
Yeah, I know, I agree. And especially if you are sponsoring an award, it is nice for people to know who you are and kind of a bit of a reason why you would be sponsoring, because I'm a massive champion of small business, and, well, small and medium business, but, well, I really am a champion of all businesses, but my heart goes out to small and medium businesses, because I feel like we're the ones that are struggling the most, right? Particularly in current times. And so that's what I talk a lot about on social media. Part of my whole goal is to, again, being in front of new audiences, to raise my profile, if I'm being a little bit selfish, but for the purpose of being able to challenge the government and have a louder voice, have a bigger platform to say the things that need to be said and challenge the people that need to be challenged. And I don't get it right all the time. I'm sure sometimes my facts and figures are not quite right, or I've read them wrong on ONS data website or wherever it is I've got them from. And people love to call me out for that. So I love to get the hate that I sometimes get. When did we stop letting people get mistakes? And sometimes I think there's this perception that just because you have a bigger platform or a bigger following, that you should be above making any mistakes or making errors. Now, I don't think I always make errors. Sometimes people just disagree and therefore think you've made an error. And I'm okay with that as well. But when did we stop being able to have different opinions and still maintain connection or friendship or respect, dignity and kindness towards other people? That's something which I think is really missing. And I don't know how I've gotten onto this tangent from being on stage, but here we are.
I like it, though. And so I follow you on socials, obviously. That's kind of where we connected. But I really love how you deal with that online, because you do get, like, a lot of people, you know, like, calling you out or hate and a bit of trolling, which is awful. And it's something that really puts people off, I think, being in that space, like, particularly as a small business owner and you're getting started and maybe your mindset's not quite there in terms of, like, that resilience. But I love how you deal with it when you're just like, oh, this person, you know, thinks this and do one, or you turn it around on them. Like, what gave you that resilience, Lewis?
Oh, I don't think it's always been there. Definitely not. I mean, I've always been a resilient person, but I think when it comes to social media, no one likes reading horrific things that are being said about them. I think the ones which get me the worst are when people attack my character because they disagree with my opinion. And that really hurts me. Someone calling me a racist, a fascist, a homophobe, lol, that's my favourite when I get homophobic, a misogynist, various other words that aren't even worth repeating. And all of that can happen in one day. And at the same time I'm having people that I actually work with tell me how much I've helped them, how much I've changed their life, how grateful they are to have met me. And it's like, what is going on in this? Well, like, it can feel a bit like an emotional whiplash. And so what I've started to do is try to find the hate comments funny. And I've kind of lent into seeing the humour behind it, and also just realising a lot of the hate comes from blank profiles, like a high proportion, not all of it, but a lot of them comes from blank profiles. Even if it's not a blank profile, they don't actually know who I am. They don't know what I'm about. They don't know how hard I've worked to help people, how I stay up at night thinking about how I can help people, and if I don't feel like I've helped somebody in the right way or in the best way I possibly could, how that keeps me up at night as well. They don't see all of that. They just see a post that's been thrown together that might be 100% accurate, might not be 100% accurate because the data is always changing, information is always changing, or my person who helps me with social media has put a spelling error in there which seems to get loads of engagement when there's a flipping spelling error. Like, come on, people, your life's so small, you're that bothered about a spelling mistake. It drives me nutty, that kind of stuff. But I don't think I've always had that resilience. I think I went through a lot of rubbish and pain and difficulty in my own business last year. People who I trusted and I considered friends really came after me for absolutely no fault of my own. And I know it's easy for me to say that, and people might be saying, well, there's no smoke without fire. It's like, no, there was smoke, but that smoke didn't originate at my door. They started having problems in their own life and their own businesses and started to come to attack me to try and get money and extort money out of me. So there is smoke, it just wasn't from my door. My fireplace, I don't know, I think I'm mixing metaphors there, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But that taught me a lesson that I realised I wasn't as secure in myself as I thought that I was. Because if I was as secure in myself as I thought I was, that type of thing shouldn't rock me. Definitely not to the depth that it did rock me. And so I started at that point doing a lot of work internally, and just, to be honest, just mantras, like reminding myself of who I am, the good I've put into the world, the fact I'm obsessed with putting good into the world and helping people, the fact that I've been helping people since I was 14 years old. I trained as a therapist when I was 19 years old. Why would I do those things if I didn't give a crap about people, if I wasn't trying to ultimately help people on a grander scale? Why was I looking to, instead of doing this business, go back to university and retrain for 7 years to become a clinical psychologist if I didn't want to actually help people? And so sometimes when people attack your character and it makes you question yourself, it's because you haven't done the work inside to become 100% solid and secure in who you are and your own identity. So I started doing a lot more of that work. And then as I started doing that work, I started realizing I'd been hiding online. I'd been hiding my opinion. I'd been hiding who I was. And I still think I do a little bit of that, to be honest, but I've gotten a lot better. And I made an agreement with myself, and it was a very conscious decision. I was like, if I start being more visible, if I start being more seen online, if I go for it online because I want to have a bigger audience so I can have a bigger impact, so I can help more people, then that is naturally going to come with hate. Mother Teresa had a load of hate. How? Baffles me. Anyway, people love to hate. And often when you step into your own light, you step into your own power, you step out, or you put your head above the parapet, I love that phrase, someone will take a shot at you. Multiple people will take a shot at you. So I basically just became very conscious that I had to accept the level of hate increasing to be able to help more people on the other side. And so I just I've learned to roll with it a bit more and be more resilient, because my vision of what I'm trying to achieve is bigger than people giving me hate comments. So yeah, that's what's helped me be more resilient and push through.
I really like that. It is having that higher purpose, isn't it? Because actually, regardless of all of the faff and the crap and the stuff that we have to wade through, to actually have that higher purpose and your eye on that prize, it can just bounce off you because you're not in there for that. We talked at the beginning, one of the things I said right at the start of the day at the awards was that we'd had 90 entries. It was a record number of entries. And that just by being sat in the room as a finalist, they'd already won.
Yeah.
And I really did mean that. And a lot of people took that away from the day, which I was really happy with. But we kind of got, after the awards, there was a bit of a ripple online about, awards, they're selfish, they're vain, blah, blah, blah. It's all about showing off. And I was like, actually, you weren't there at the awards. And what we said was that, yes, it's wonderful to have the award. It's great to be the winner and hold that trophy. But actually, the validation should come within. Yeah. And I'm so glad that I said that on stage, because what rippled afterwards from people that just weren't there, didn't get it, and I get that. We have a bad day, someone's won an award, I get that, I do. But to actually just reaffirm that everyone in the room, really, not in a you're all winners, not in a participation way, but your validation shouldn't come from the certificate or the award that you're holding or the fact that you're stood on stage. The validation should come that you're happy within yourself and what you're doing. Yeah. And that the awards really symbolise that celebration of what we're doing and why we're doing it, rather than, I did it because I won an award. That's really not what awards should be about. And I know some of them are like that. There's no hate on that. But for me, the Disruptive Franchise Awards is very much about those people who are resilient, not going out and beating the big boys in town, doing their thing, sticking their neck out and doing something a bit different. Completely. And just going, good on you, that's what that's about.
Yeah, and I think that attitude and energy was very much in the room, which was brilliant. And everyone just wanted to see each other succeed. And I've seen a lot of that stuff online as well. But I just think if we're operating from a place of abundance, if we're operating from a place of gratitude, if we're operating from a place of love and kindness, why is an award a bad thing? like at all. Like everybody I saw who got an award seemed very thankful, like it meant a lot to them. Of course it means a lot to be recognised. It means a lot to have someone see the hard work you're putting in, because we often don't stop to smell our own roses, do we? We just keep going, we keep going, we keep going. So for someone to truly acknowledge that and recognise that is phenomenal. And I think if people want to pour hate on that, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's award ceremonies that aren't as good as disruptive awards, then I just don't understand where that's really coming from. Well, I do kind of understand it, I just don't really want to say it, but it feels like it's potentially coming from a place of bitterness, jealousy, internal frustration. Again, if you're far busier throwing rocks at somebody else's success, then you're not focusing on your own enough, really, are you? Or you're not happy with your own. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, not at all. Exactly that. Lewis, tell us a little bit about how you got into trading and why people should be trading.
I do think everybody in the world should be trading. It's 30 minutes of your day, especially if you're UK based, it's tax free. I always say trading is simple, not necessarily easy. It is really simple once you know how. It's like a big puzzle. Once you've got the piece of the puzzle in place, it's really easy to see what's going on there. The part that makes it not easy, though, is I suppose a bit like going to the gym. It's the actually showing up, the discipline to be there, the emotional state to make sure you're sticking to the simple criteria and the simple strategies that we teach people. And the way that I got into it was, like I said, I grew up in the church, but they didn't like the fact I was gay, so I had to give up my international kind of coaching, but more like therapy business that I built over about 6 years in the church, lose about 95% of my friends and people that felt like family to me, and basically start again. So I started again in retail, and there is a bit of overlap there because I kind of could see the writing on the wall, so I was like, I need to start doing something else. So I started in retail. It was the only job I could get, working on the shop floor of Dorothy Perkins and Burton Menswear, if you remember them. Yeah,
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the good old days of the high street.
And I got rejected from McDonald's, rejected from KFC, which really made me angry because I've given them so much money over the years and then they couldn't look after me in my time of need. So I worked in retail, worked my way up off of the shop floor into the head offices, and I just realised that this 19 grand a year job that I was doing, which was pathetic whilst trying to live in London as well, was not going to create for me the life that I wanted, the freedom that I wanted, and it just wasn't where I wanted to be for the rest of my life. So I made a decision to look for something else, and literally within about a week I was on the Underground reading the Metro, and there's an advert to attend a Rich Dad Poor Dad investment seminar. So I registered online, went to the event at the weekend. It was at the Bloomsbury Hotel in London. And when I got there, they said my name wasn't on the list. I was like, I've definitely registered. Like, I need to be here. I need to do something else in my life. And they said, bear with us 1 second. They went and found a different list, found my name on that list. And it was for the financial market trading seminar. I thought I'd signed up for the property investment seminar, and I hadn't. So call it divine intervention, call it whatever you want. I'm pretty sure that something in the universe shifted my name onto that different list. And it just blew my mind with what was possible. I didn't have to spend loads of time trading. I could be anywhere in the world. I just needed a laptop and an internet connection, and I didn't need any prior experience to be able to master it. And thank goodness I didn't need to be good with maths, because I'm rubbish at maths. And I'm also not great with tech. I've inherited my mum's tech skills, which are non-existent. Yes, that's how I kind of found trading. And then they asked me, because you know what business is like, it's lead funnel, blah, 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 all of this kind of stuff. So I found myself working whilst learning, and they asked me to do a mentorship, which meant I'd have to pay half my annual salary, which I didn't have just there and ready to go. I don't know who does have half their annual salary good and ready to go. So I had to take out a credit card and a loan at really high interest to be able to access the mentorship, which was crazy, absolutely crazy. But I thought, well, what else am I going to do? I don't want to live this life that I'm going to be living forever. I don't see any other way out of this. At least this is a potential doorway for me to get out of it. And worst case scenario, I'm just paying the loan off for a few years out of my rubbish salary anyway. So I went for it. And 7 months later, I left my job, started traveling around the world and trading. And then from that point to setting up Star Trading, which is my own education company, was about 6 years. So I was doing it for myself for 6 years, refining, simplifying, making my systems and processes better, and that's what I now teach people.
I love that. The desire has to be greater than the pain, doesn't it? Really,
Yeah.
like it's that. I love the divine intervention. I think you're absolutely right, because like what possibly could have shifted,
Yeah.
but you could be a big property investor now rather than what you do and have the freedom of what you do.
Do you know,
Um,
it's so funny. I don't think I would have had the right mindset to go into property back then. I do property now because I made a load of money through my trading, and then I reinvested in property after about 2 or 3 years of trading. So I did that, but I don't think I would have had. It's just a little thing like the course. I found this out later. The course to do the property investment seminar was twice the price of doing the trading seminar. So even that would have put me off. I wouldn't have been able to do it. It was, so the course I did was £500 for like a weekend, which was then half my annual salary to do an actual mentorship. But and I had to split it between me and a friend of mine to be able to do it. If they'd asked me for £1,000 to do property at that point in my life, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I know my brain wouldn't have been like, yeah, I'm up for this. There was nothing there.
Yeah, I really admire that, because I think there are so many people, and probably listening to this podcast right now, that would really love to make a jump. And, you know, we're not sitting here advocating go get into debt, but I think there's a real, if you have something in your gut, I had similar actually, but if you have something in your gut that tells you that actually this is what I want, no, I can't afford it. We kind of have people who go, okay, I can't afford it, I'm going to stay where I am. Yeah. And that's probably the majority of people, to be fair. You also then have that kind of person that goes, well, do you know what? I'm going to take that risk and I'm going to try and do what I can to go and make that happen. And, you know, like for online businesses, I think that we struggle a little bit because we expect not to have to invest any money. We expect that there is no like output. It's just going to come to us because it's an online business or whatever. And so I think the biggest thing that blocks business owners progressing a lot of the time is the need to make an investment into themselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, like for me, I remember I was like deep in franchise and COVID hit and I got a bounce back loan, and I was like, do you know what, I don't need the loan, but I'm going to take it and it can just sit there, and worst case I'll just pay it off. And I'd been watching, it was actually Denise Duffield Thomas, I'd been watching her for a long time about money mindset. And my dad, like, we grew up in the 80s recession, self-employed builder, so we knew money hardship was, you know, it was awful. And so I had a very bad money mindset as a self-employed business owner. But it was having that leap of faith. And I'd watched Denise videos, I'm never going to pay that for a course. It was like, I think it was £1,500 at the time. Oh my God, that's mental. Why'd you pay that? Well, because I had this bounce back loan, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Screw it, I'm going to do it. And I did. And it changed my whole trajectory because it shifted my money mindset. And then I went on and invested in another mentor who, you know, for me has changed the game. Like, you can look at my timeline of like my earnings over the last 10 years and you can pinpoint the exact point that I made that investment and what it did to my trajectory.
Completely. Yeah.
It's just that leap of faith, isn't it, I think?
It is that leap of faith. And I think I'm the type of personality that if I don't have pain involved, I probably won't do it. Like, and the fact I paid half my annual salary on a credit card and a loan meant I did the work. I think if I'd paid £500 for a 12-month mentorship or a 6-month mentorship or whatever it was, then I wouldn't have actually done the work. I would have just been like, oh, it's not a big deal, it doesn't matter. But because there was pain involved, I was like, I have to make this work. I have to. That's why I went for it, which is why I'm very happy to charge fees that I charge for proper mentorship, because we get our clients results because they have to do the work. Like, they make it a non-negotiable for themselves, and that comes partly from investing so heavily in themselves. And I made a massive investment into a mentor last year, and my business has doubled in the past 12 months as a result of that, which means now that massive investment is not really a big deal.
Yeah, exactly that.
But again, you have to back yourself to be able to do that. And again, I will say that I've invested heavily in the wrong coaches in the past, and that hasn't necessarily worked out, but I've learned other lessons instead. And I always frame everything like that in that kind of way. And I do property as well, like I said. I've never lost more money in my life than when I've been investing in property. So about 3 years ago, I had a big loss of about 30 grand on a property deal, which was awful. Incredibly stressful, maybe more than 3 years ago, because it was during COVID and because of COVID. And again, massive lessons learned. Turns out I didn't actually learn the lesson, because this past year we've just had another massive property loss, which was about £150,000 loss. But I've grown, and every time I feel like I have a big loss like that, I describe it as it kind of scorches the ground.
Yes.
And when you scorch the ground, it brings all this stuff out of you. It forces your money mindset into a different place, your resilience and everything into a different level, into a different place. And I feel like it prepares the ground for higher levels of fertility, which is weird to say about the ground, but it makes the ground more fertile. It puts more nutrients, puts all this stuff. And so we've just had that happen again this year. And I know it sounds really sadistic, but I'm kind of excited because A, it doesn't take me out of the game. B, it shows how far I've come on my own wealth journey. B, maybe C, I'm on third point now. C, it's shown me how my mindset's grown as well. But I always know when that type of thing happens, it's like a slingshot ready to go even further. And so I'm just super excited going into 2026. Yes, that's where we are, 2026. About what life is going to be and how things are going to grow again to another level. And it's also taught me what I do and don't want to do in terms of property. So I'm really, really excited.
I really like that. I really do. It's like new level, same devil, isn't it? In terms of like, I always feel like it's like the backdraft. Like it kind of, I feel like I've been sucked back a little bit and before I can propel forward every time.
Exactly.
I think that's really important. Love it. Lewis, if you could do anything without fear of failure, what would you do?
I would probably become a pop star. I love singing. Maybe not pop, but some form of singer. I do love singing. I have a naturally okay voice, but I definitely need some training. I used to think I'd want to go into the West End, because every time I go to the West End, I'm like, I could do that.
Love it, yeah.
I can pad a beret with the best of them. But I think doing the same show every night would drive me absolutely loony. So I don't think I could do that. But being a pop star would be interesting. Yeah.
I like that. International pop star, like global fame, go for it.
What's the point of anything else? Not just Dagenham. Do you know what I mean? Doing the local pub scene. No.
Yeah, doing the circuit. I like it. I can't see you doing that. I can see you on the global stage for sure.
There we go,
I was a drama student. I loved like A-level drama, and every time we go and see Rent, I'd be like, I just want to be Maureen. I just want to be Maureen. And I can't sing, so it never happened. But yeah, like you, I think I'd get bored to tears doing the same thing every single night for sure. I'd have to like sneak something in there to mix it up and make it like put the danger in.
Put some danger in for sure.
Put some danger in there. Yeah, I don't know why. That's amazing. I love that. And we've not had anyone on the podcast say they want to be a pop star either, so that's a first.
There we go.
I like it. Who's your like singing inspiration? Who would you want to be like?
Oh, there's a guy called Bon Iver, or Bon Iver, I don't know how you say it, but absolutely love them. Recently I've gotten really into Benson Boone. I just think he's such a talent. He's a
showman, isn't he?
Yeah, proper showman, but just incredible voice as well. Like just the richness and the depth and the tone of his voice is phenomenal. I follow on my Instagram. I follow loads of just random singers that I've seen a video of them, and I just think their voice is incredible. If I ever end up on a YouTube tunnel, like hole, just deep dive, it's always on singers. I just love it. Absolutely love listening to incredible singing voices. They're just so emotive. And one thing I find fascinating is when someone has a very, very good voice, but there's no emotion in it. You can really feel it. And when someone has an okay voice, but there's such emotion and power in it, that I just love that. Absolutely love that.
There's a richness, isn't there, with that emotion, I think. Yeah, for sure. I love it. Lewis, we could chat all day, but how can people come and find you and chat to you?
A fantastic way is Instagram. So my Instagram handle is @with Lewis Crompton. I am blue ticked. Don't follow anyone that isn't blue ticked that's pretending to be me, because there is a few of them. And just drop me a message and say hi. I love chatting to people. It's my favourite way to connect, and I'm always on Instagram. So, yeah.
Amazing, thanks Lewis. We'll pop that in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've loved chatting with you. Guys, if you do want to go and follow Lewis, go and follow him. He's, like I said, he's very chatty on Instagram, but also you'll learn an awful lot, not just about trading, but how to deal with hate and life in general by following Lewis. So yeah, go give him a follow. That's it for this week. I'll see you next week. Thanks, Lewis.
Thank you.